Hello, this is going to be part 2 of our test review. So I'm going to work the last 7 problems. And here's a bonus for you. If you are listening carefully, obviously if you're watching this, you can use your calculator tomorrow. Actually today I'm going to be using it. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it right here, calculator. Okay. So again, if you are listening, you get to use the calculator. All right. So anyways, now I'm going to go to question number 8. Question number 9. We did up to number 8 yesterday. So number 9 is this one here. Okay. Some of you, I helped you this morning with this particular problem, so it'll be easier for you to understand. And it goes like this. Okay. So you have to figure out which one's similar to 4236. So you turn that into a ratio. 36. And when you simplify it, okay, you simplify it because it's easier to work with a simplified ratio. So that 42, if I divide it by 2, that's 21. If I divide this by 2, that'll be 18. Okay. Now they're multiples of 3, so I can divide it by 3 and end up with 7/6. So here's the ratio I want to match. So I'm gonna try to match it to A. Okay, 7/6. Well, there's no, they're not equivalent ratios. Okay, 7 and 6. Well, what times 7 gives me 41? That's 6 times will give me 35. Nothing. That one's really easy to see because they're consecutive numbers: 41, 42, 35, 36. You can tell right away that that is not proportional. Okay. But see right here, I have 7/6. Okay. 7 times 5 gives me 35. And 6 times 5 gives me 30. So that one works out. Okay. So the answer to that is C. But I'm going to show you that, that D is not the answer. Okay. So again, I had 7/6. Okay. And if that is not proportional to 30/24. See, 6 times 4 gives me 24, but 7 times 4 does not give me 30. Okay, so that does not work. So the answer again is C. Okay, remember, you simplify the ratios and it's easier. Okay, now we're gonna go to number 10. Okay, this one can get a little confusing. Okay, and it's a little bit hard to follow. Okay. But the one thing that I keep emphasizing is that you guys need to make a list of what you read. Okay, and in this case, my list would go something like this. Okay. The one page, it's 256 words. Okay, see, the first page had 256 words. And the average word had 4.9 letters. So this is one page, and one word is about 4.9 letters. Okay. And then it tells me that the entire essay had 9,158 letters. So the entire essay had 9,158 letters. Okay, the whole essay, one essay, had that much. Okay, So the question is about how many pages was Brandon's essay. Okay, so you have all of these letters. Okay, and you want to know how many pages. So truly I have to go from here to see how many words that is, and then from here I need to see how many pages I can make. Okay, so if I know that one word is 4.9, and by the way over here it tells me about, so I'm not going to deal with decimals, so instead of 4.9 I'm gonna make it 5. So one word equals 5 letters. Okay, so that tells me that I can divide 9,158 divided by 5, and it will tell me how many words that would be. So I have 9,158, okay, and I'm going to divide it by 5. Okay. Oops, that was 55. So I'm going to go ahead and retype it. 9,158 divided by 5. Okay, that gives me 1,831 words. So I have 1,831 words. I know it says 0.6, so but I'm rounding. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and instead of using 1,831, I'm just going to say 1,800 because I'm rounding. That's how many words there are. And I know that one page is 256. One page is 256 words. So that tells me that I could just divide the 1,800 or 1,800 and divide it by 256. Instead of 256, I'm going to say 250 because I'm rounding. Okay. So that gives me 7.2 pages. At closest would be B, 7.5. This is the way we round it. Okay, so that's number 10. Again, at any time, please pause, go back and double check if you didn't understand something. All right, so number 11. Okay, this one is also about, but since we're using the calculator, we can probably just do it without the about. And what Jared bought 21 cans, okay, and for the 21 cans he pays $61.74, okay, and the question says how much would be for 5 cans. So there are ratios, proportions, we want to make a proportion, okay, and so this line is for cans, 21 and 5, and this is the money part. Okay, since it's a proportion, I can multiply those two and then divide it by that, and it should give me X. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 61.74 divided by 5. Oops, again, my fat fingers are messing up. 61.74 divided by 5. I'm sorry, I need to multiply by 5. 61.74 times 5. Okay. Fat fingers will not let me do this right, but 61.74 times 5, I get 308.7. And now I divide that by 21. Divided by 21. That gives me $14.70. So $14.70. And again, it's about, so the closest of the answer choices is 15. Okay, so that's number 11. Again, when I'm clearing that, I gotta remind you, please rewind, pause, whatever you need to do. Okay, so now we're going to go to number 12. Okay. Okay. 12 Very simple. I hope that when you read it and you see a 75%, you understand that you might want to write it as a fraction, because whenever we're making proportions. So 75%, 180 jelly beans. This represents 180 jelly beans, 75%. But the jar has had to have more. Well, 100% of the jar is what we're looking for. So it goes with the 100, see? But we have 180 of them. Okay. So again, we can multiply and then divide. Or I can simplify it. 75 over 100 is the same as 3/4. Okay. So now I can just multiply 4 times 180 and then divide it by 3. 4 times 180 . 4 times 180 is 720, and then I'm going to divide it by 3, and I get 240, which is exactly that. Now, if you're not, since you're using a calculator, if you just want to multiply 100 times 180, of course, that's going to be 18 and 3 zeros, and then you can divide that by 75. Just showing you that it does work no matter no matter how you do it. The point is that, see, and there's your 240 again. Okay, but simplified. I can tell whenever I tell you guys to simplify, and you go, oh yeah. You always go back and simplify, and then you realize how easy the question really is. Always simplify. Now we're gonna go to number 13. Okay. All right, number 13. Another one the same way. Look, okay. All right, it tells you that it's 85% of the regular price, 85% of the regular price. So you are going to write that as a fraction, because we're trying to make proportions. 85 out of 100, 85%, and that equals $4.59. See, we need to find out the regular price. So what is it normally? What's 100% of that? Same thing that we did with number 12. Now we can multiply those two numbers. I don't even need a calculator, because I know that when I multiply times 100, it's just rolling this number 2 times. So when I multiply those two, I'm going to have 459. Okay, and then I divide it by 85, and I'm going to use the calculator. 459 divided by 85, and that gives me 5.4, and 5.4 is the same as $5.40. Okay, so that's number 13. Now I'm going to go to number 14, which is a long one. Okay. But when we're going to use the calculator, and actually I did this ahead, because I didn't want to bore you with having to do all these little numbers, and I was going to give you a tip. Okay, so here's the thing. The situation here is that you are going to find the percentage that car payments is compared to all the expenses. Okay, so what that means is that, okay, what percentage is the car payment? So that really means this is the part that you're looking for. Okay, and the total is everything. Okay, all the expenses. So I did that previously, and this guy right here, this part right here, adds up to be 46,130. Okay, and all of this over here, it's 30,555. Okay, 30,555, and then when you add it all together, you end up with 76,685. Go ahead and do it if you want, just to make sure that I got this correct. But that's what you would do. And on the test, whenever you're adding all this stuff, do it in parts. It's easier. You're gonna be using a calculator, so you can do it a couple times just to make sure. So anyways, Then I divide this by that. And when I do that, remember the horse is 76,685, so that goes outside, so be careful. What that means is that you're dividing 1, 2, 9, 5, 6. See how I messed up there right quick? Okay, let me do it again. 1, 2, 9, 5, 6. And I'm going to divide it by 7, 6, 6, 8, 5. So when you do it in a calculator, it's like you're doing it backwards. Now look at that answer, 0.168951. Now, if you remember Dr. Pepper, you roll it 2 times. You go from a decimal to a percent. So really that's 16.8951%. 16.89. So that sounds like 17%. So that really is 17%. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and go to the last one. Again, rewind it if you need to. Okay, and here's the last one. It's number 15. Oops. I always forget. Okay, and then this one is it's kind of confusing. Okay, this is how much they're saving. Okay, he's saving 1,550. This is the part, and the total income is this much. So this is the part of that much. This is the whole, that's the part. So the whole is the denominator. And the part is the numerator. And that's how you find a percentage. Okay. And again, remember you're doing this backwards. Okay. You're dividing this by that. I know that when we do it manually, you put 3875 out, but when we do it in a calculator, it's just the way it sounds. 1,550 divided by 3,875, and that gives you 0.4. 0.4 means 40%, right? See, it's the same as Dr. Pepper. It's going from decimal to percent. So it's 40%. The answer is B. Okay, well, we'll see you tomorrow.